So speaking of Queen of Heaven, okay. So I've known for a while the chess game is actually based off of occult teachings. So one big obvious one is the black and white checkerboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one that I'm teaching my son chess because I actually do like the game. I think it's good for thinking, but it has its problems. But anyways, there's this reverence of the queen. For example, the way that you remember where to put your queen gets her own color, as in reverence to the queen, as in reverence to the Queen of Heaven over the King of Heaven. Satan versus
and the queen is actually technically the most powerful piece on the board.
Right, which is actually how it happens
the most moves.
In the occult system. It's the church, the queen, that controls everything, has the real power, but it is the state, the king, that's kind of a figurehead that can't really do anything on its own, just like in the game, right?
Wow, that's cool observation. That's awesome.
So I also there was a TV series. What was it? Oh, the Queen's Gambit.
Oh yes.
The Queen's Gambit. Yeah.
Terrible series.
I thought it was a good series, actually, but what it was good at is a whole nother issue. It was good at pushing the cult. Very good. Guess where she learned? She learned in the basement from a quiet old man. Satan.
Yeah.
Also, what helped her was taking drugs, witchcraft, to get her to have the vision to do what she needed, which Torah speaks about against. And actually, the occult actually pushes you to take these drugs. It's one of their secrets that they push in these Gnostic movies to take these drugs, just like in that one, because it was. I don't remember what it was, but it was some experimental drug that were given to the kids, right? That she took and started having visions, and then they took it away, and then she went and got it again, right? But anyways, very well thought out. The problem is,
I'm in
who
terms
they're
of that,
serving in it.
I was talking about the content, simply the content. Not the,
Oh yeah.
not the way that it's put together.
I see it's the biggest problem is more what it's teaching. And the Gnostic flavor is throughout the whole thing.
Oh, of course.
She won when it was winter. Whose time is winter?
The Devils.
The devil's time.
Devils, the Satans. Anyways, if people started paying attention, scriptures and even just the movies that they love, they would start seeing these patterns. But like you said, most people are sleeping when they're watching these things, and they're not.
Yep. Well, yeah, and the purpose of, and actually there's very specific things done to make sure that people do fall asleep.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For
It's
sure.
called hypnosis.
It's a very well tested technique, and the Elders Church calls it heart cell.
Yes.
So I have a couple posts on that, Darren. If you want, I can give you the links, and Zach.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm still trying to get in from my desktop computer. For some reason, Facebook's not coming up. But anyway, I'm
okay.
good. I've got
Seen another movie. I've seen another movie with that actress. Joy. It's called The Witch.
The name is kind of interesting.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, she makes a deal with the devil.
So this one is one that I deal with heart cell. And then this is a good resource page, but this is not the one I'm talking about, but it's linked here. This one. This deals with heart cell also. there are side subjects on these things, but most of my posts I put lots of side subjects. Okay, so it was called The Witch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's an
That is
interesting.
fair.
Yeah, it's very eerie. Very eerie.
Yeah, that looks dark.
Mm-hmm.
Got to
I
go.
used to sort of be into horror movies, sort of. Like, and no, I'm not anymore.
I never liked
They're way
horror
too dark.
movies. I used to go to haunted houses. I used to think they were funny, but I won't go anymore. Anyways, but
There's another one that terrifies me to death, but not to death, but a lot. But it's called Insidious.
Mhm.
I personally think it's kind of about like a glimpse into outer darkness, kind of.
that looks dark.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Incredibly dark.
Well, I think it's good that it scared you, because some of these part of horror movies goal, in my opinion, is desensitizes us.
Like that being right there with their hands out there.
Yeah.
That that really scared.
Well, I
Sometimes when I'm in the dark, that my mind just goes to that person. And scares the crap.
Yeah,
out
but
of me.
I think, the thing about horror movies is that their purpose is to desensitize, but
yeah.
also at the same time, for the right mindset, they initiate.
So Snow White just the story in itself is not the best, but generally speaking, most people watch the child version of it, and those aren't too bad. But this is a commentary I did on an adult version, so it's not quite like those that you were showing me,
Yeah.
but it might approach that a little bit, not a whole bunch, but you might enjoy that commentary I have on it, which I would say is pretty good commentary, the basics of it, of any Snow White version, because everybody has their version of Snow White. Most people just know the childish kid version of it, but anyways, I see issues with tons of kid stories. In fact, one like I told you, I've been trying to figure out, right, bits and pieces on.
Giant peach.
Huh?
James
The
and the
James and the
Giant.
Giant Peach. So in the book edition, or let me go grab it. Hold on.
So what's going on with the Bank of America?
I know, wasn't that crazy?
So
What
I do have
happened?
the overall gist of it. It's talking about the Jesuits going to the USA. Okay, that's the overall gist of it.
Yeah,
There's various pieces. I'm not really sure. I think the movie's better than this shortened edition kid book, but I mean they all are a little different.
Yeah.
So this black bird. So I realized the other day, I don't know what event it is, but I do believe that's portrayal of the angel of Yahweh. In fact, you'll see that portrayal of the angel of Yahweh in here, let's share this sound. This one. Let's go put this in the chat. You'll see that version of it here. So so Lindsay's Okay. Come on, give me the. Okay, so let's. Let's do this. I'm not getting the hovers to see where I want to go, right? So overall, this one is about the five kingdoms, okay? But right now I'm looking for that specific image.
El verano es golden.
Enfocando para una selfie. Ensayando el...
El verano es golden. Imperial Golden. Saber tiene su recompensa.
Ah, there we go. Start there. That's the same image. It's the angel of
Yep.
Yahweh. I mean, we can get into it, but I get into
Oh,
it more
yeah.
in commentary.
Yeah.
It's a half hour. It's short compared to some of my other ones.
Well, that's because it's a shorter video.
Yeah, but the rate, the amount that she consecrated or not condensed into that is a higher rate than these other ones. Even my longest 6-hour one with
Yeah, the imagery is very concentrated.
Oh yeah, she put a lot of thought into it, and she admits to that. And I linked to some of her interviews, and she admits that she's the one that orchestrated it.
Yeah.
Look, there's the beast with the 2 horns on the land.
Yeah.
Anyways, so but you're getting all this, right? Lindsay's mad at Yahweh. She thinks he hurt her. Pillar of fire by night, pillar of cloud by day. Anyways, we don't have to keep getting into it. If you want,
She is angry, and she's definitely she's angry at Yahweh because she's a victim of SRA.
yeah, which is not his fault.
Of course, it's not his fault, but it's
But in
where a lot of
SRA,
people,
that's
that's where a lot of SRA victims go.
Sure. Anyways, I don't want to really focus on that. If anything, I want to focus on anything, it'd be people's questions and maybe some insights that I've gotten this week, or
Yeah.
you guys have gotten this week. So I was just kind of going off the conversation.
We were going through, we were going through Ruth. Oh, I'll tell you, Ruth is a powerhouse. Boy.
Yeah. Yes. You want to share some?
Like, for instance, I mean, Ruth is very much representational.
Well,
She's a
let's go
real
through-
and a representational character.
Let's go.
yeah.
Let's go through it. I mean, it's not like it's a terribly long book. But the first chapter is loaded. The first and second chapters are loaded with beautiful imagery of the ketubah that God makes with his bride, the church.
Yeah, do you guys want to go through it, or do you want to do something else?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
That's
But,
fine.
Do we want to do sacrament first, though?
Sure. So let's pause. We can do that.
Okay, hey, Darren.
He's back.
One question.
Okay, go ahead.
So the question would be like, what role does like, I don't know. This may not be related to the law as much. I think it could be, but what role does, like, for example, getting out to the mountain play in personal revelation, if you get what I'm saying?
Can you say it another way?
Okay, so for example, there's a lot of stories in scripture, right? About the Lord commanding people to go to the mountains, and there he visits them, or he gives them revelation, or what have you, right? So yeah, it was just,
So
never mind. Don't
no,
worry
that's fine.
about it.
So
It's
I
obviously
think
not-
no,
I
Andrew,
don't know.
this is fine. You have a question. We are fellow believers in the Messiah, and we are to help each other, right?
okay, yeah.
So you have a question. We're gonna talk about it. So I think it may vary from instance to instance, but in general, and we kind of went over this last week, if you want to look at last week's recording,
Okay.
but I think when we looked at all those examples of mountains, and we can do that again if you don't want to go look at last week's recording, but I would recommend it. But a general emphasis, I think, of mountains is either Yahweh's commands, or, and I think it's a little different than mountains, high hills. I think, if I remember correctly, mountains is Yahweh's, and high hills are the counterfeit, Satan's, the pagans, the right. As in although they're, I think part of the reason why it's high hills, even in the pagan ways, because they think they're high ways, right? They're high righteous ways that things do it. Where the mountains, I mean, just look at the word. Mountains are bigger and higher than hills, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just look at the imagery. I mean, okay, so if you're in the East, what you guys call mountains, I call little hills.
Yeah, those are foothills. Yeah, 100%.
Though at one time, before the scientific process, before geologic processes took their toll, they were just as high as others, but now they're little foothills.
That means that they're older? Is that what that means?
No, so this gets in. This is a proof of catastrophism. I can't say that.
Catastrophism?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to.
Catastrophism?
Yes. Are you making fun of me?
Not at all.
But I have I'm not going to try to spell it, but I do have. I have a couple pages on it. I need to add more, but my
the idea that the
polar configuration has it. The lunar cycle change has it, and creationism has it some also. But there's a lot of things in history that prove that versus uniformitarianism. That's just not really supported when you look at all the data. It works when you throw out things you don't like.
right.
Of course, that's true with scripture interpretations also.
It's good for a buffet, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I know what you mean, but I might say it a little differently. But anyways,
Probably.
sure. But yeah. But okay, the main thing is Mountains relate to commandments, right?
Yeah.
You go to the Lord's mountain. Where was Torah was given or re-given? To say it better, I would say.
Right.
On a mountain.
On the
Yeah, it
mountain.
was given on the mountain. Exactly.
And and just talk about the imagery, how the law perfects us.
Mhm.
Mount Sinai is charred from the fire.
Yep.
Because if we keep it, we will be purified by fire.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right? Just like in the scriptures say. And
So
go ahead.
So in that way, in order to receive personal revelation more fully in your life, one has to keep the law.
Yeah.
And so that's the mountains that one has to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the video we saw, I don't know how much Andrew saw. We can watch it again if you want.
Last bit.
In the beginning of it, the girl that gets baptized, the woman, she gets out of a shack and then goes down a little hill to go get baptized. Somewhat going along with what you're kind of bringing up. So, I mean, if we can pause for a minute and we can watch it. Let's see. I gotta find the right button.
I really like that. I really like that image at the end. It's like she's breathing her first breath.
So here's that connects to something I want to say. So just real quick, hey, Andrew, you see how she was going down the little hill to go get baptized, which is a sign that now we're willing to follow Yeshua. That's like the doctrine of Christ, the doctrine of the Messiah is first repentance, then baptism, then the baptism of fire, which is justification, and the baptism of the Holy Ghost, which is sanctification. You met what was wrong, you start at the bottom, you work your way up. Even Joseph Smith said you have to start at the bottom, work your way up, right? So, one big example of the, and I'm going off a rough memory, we can go look it up if you want, but Nephi in the mountain, right? When he was building the ship to cross the sea. This stuff all has tons of symbolism, but I'll focus on this part. When he was on the mountain, he made a billow. You know what a billow is, right? I think I remember the word. Where you blow the air.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
To make the fire hotter. Now, in the beginning, God blew or gave breath to us. And that is a Hebrew idiom for the spirit, aka the law.
Yeah.
The way that Satan takes us out of the dust is to give us his holy ways, his holy behavior.
Yeah.
That's how he makes us or takes us from the dust, is to do that. And when you go look at the imagery with Nephi in building the ship to cross the chaos, he gets a billow to breathe in more air into the fire of purification.
Yeah.
To melt the metal, the rod to shape it.
Yeah, it's another, which points us back to that video again, the interesting picture of the metal getting beaten into shape as they go down the hill to be baptized.
And that takes hot water. I mean, not hot water. I mean, hot fire. Sorry.
Hot fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that's.
And the thing is, another cool thing is when the workman, blacksmith is working that metal, you see all of that dross just fly off with each impact. You know what I mean? It's just like, that is the purifying and cleansing power of following Messiah.
I've had sparks. through this purification process.
Yeah.
So the imagery is perfect.
Yes.
And this imagery is to get you think about what's going on. And the Book of Mormon says a lot more than I think most people recognize. Just like you find them out with the billow, making the fire hot for the purification, right? The refiner's fire. It's beautiful, actually. I see it as beautiful. So anyways, in Isaiah somewhere, I'm no Isaiah expert, but it talks about how in the latter days that people will go to the mountain of the Lord to learn his ways.
Oh,
It's Isaiah chapter 2.
that's
Okay.
it's right at the beginning.
So
And Isaiah
maybe let's-
chapter 1 talks about how he will purge away our dross with in the refiner's fire.
just going along with the same imagery there. But my point is, how do we learn God's ways unless it's his laws?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How do we learn Yahweh's ways unless it's through his laws, his instructions?
I'm guessing that you don't.
Yeah, it was kind of a rhetorical question. So hopefully
Gotcha.
it's a question that shouldn't need to be answered, right? But for some people, it may need to be answered, actually, sadly.
Well, it seems like for a lot of people, it needs to be answered.
Right. And so going to the mountain is going back to the law. And so hopefully that.
Just like if Justin Griffin understood exactly the imagery he was invoking, he would realize that quite unintentionally he pointed people back to the law because the Lord took the children of Israel into the wilderness to bring them to the mountain so that they could receive the law.
But before that, even Moses and the burning bush, he goes up into the mountain after, he goes up into the mountain with that too. That's where he receives.
Well, so I did like Justin's documentary, but at the end, this is going to sound negative, but this is what I see. I see him going up on a high hill, not a mountain. He did have no mountain at the end of that video.
No, he did not.
He had a little hill. It wasn't even a high hill. He had a little hill. Now, I don't know exactly if he was trying to point to a mountain versus just wandering in the desert and that just happened to be there. But if what was shown was purposeful, blah, 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 blah. Yes, that word. That was a high hill, which I think is what he's going. But anyways, I don't
think he got that though. Like, I don't think he understands the imagery on that.
I think
well, actually, I released is Torah still valid on the same day as his movie On Purpose and by direction of Yahweh. Which was a response I gave to him that he would not reply to multiple times.
Yeah, the main, yes, yeah, and both Matt and I shared it. I think I put an epistle in front of it.
Yeah,
but,
you did. It was a good one, though. It was a good one.
It was a good epistle.
So what he's doing with Joseph Smith, who killed Joseph Smith, is a good work, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But at the same time, he preaches lawlessness.
Yeah.
So he'll pretend like he doesn't, but when someone who knows what's going on, like Ben or me, will talk to him, it comes out. He believes in lawlessness. And I hope with putting that at the same day, we'll maybe get him to think about it and really look to answer it rather than asking the same question over and over. What about stoning? Because you know what? I have an answer to that. And I recorded it primarily for him.
Yep. God's going to stone the earth.
Yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, baby.
The second coming proves stoning is still in the law. So, yeah.
Because God will not break his law.
No. And if it was taken out of the law, it wouldn't be lawful for God to stone. In fact, hell is the center of the earth, which is stoning. Stoning is still part of the law. I know Matt finds it funny, but hopefully that's like serious, like aha funny, right?
Yes, it is.
Stoning is forever part of the law.
And by the way, God has no problem with killing the wicked. Okay.
No, he doesn't. He puts it off as long as he can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
He'll give him as many
he will do it.
opportunities as. Yeah.
So along these lines of stoning, okay. I had a connection thought today. So the lowering, there's a theory out there, is pretty prevalent, that the second coming is going to start in the fall. I do not believe that. I believe it's going to start in the spring. Okay.
What's going to start in the spring?
The second coming.
Okay.
I believe the second coming is going to start with the first high holiday. And I have multiple reasons for that. But on this stoning, well, let's just stick to the stoning, okay? One of the things that the roaring lions from 3 Nephi 20-ish, which is actually from
right?
Not Malachi. Yeah, that one. From the Tanakh, they're going to go out and destroying people. And along with that, they'll be getting the riches of the nations. When Exodus happened, what happened? They got the riches of the nation. Well,
you know, another part of that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Made a little connection too. Like, you know, the idea of there's nothing new under the sun, right? All things that have happened or that will happen have happened already.
Yeah.
What about the children of Israel when they were given the promised land? They had to go in and wipe up the ground with a whole bunch of different people.
Yeah, and guess what? That happened right after Passover.
Yeah.
Right, because they stopped eating manna, and now they had to eat the wheat that they just harvested, just like unleavened bread.
Yeah.
Anyways, but my point is
interesting.
So these roaring lions, they're actually going to be. I do believe they're going to be executing righteous judgment unto capital punishment. And I think part of that is going to be done by stoning. There's a process to it, but I do believe some of it's going to be done by stoning.
Yeah, there's a legal process to actually stone.
Right. It's not something, oh, I just want to do it and you do it. No, there's a process. It's not something you just go up and do your own.
Yeah.
That Lot, when Sodom and Gomorrah got stoned, that was during Passover.
Yeah.
How do you know?
You can see the connections in the account. We can go look at it if you want. But one part I remember off the top of my head is they were eating unleavened bread.
What did Abraham feed the angels?
And part of Passover is unleavened bread. So you eat unleavened bread with Passover, and then you have unleavened bread another 7 days. And this is where this gets into the calendar wars, holiday wars. They mix that up, and they kind of say that Passover is part of unleavened bread, and it's not. Anyways, just because you do it in one day doesn't mean it's part of something else that you do it also. But anyways, but Passover, you eat unleavened bread. Okay. So I see a lot of these connections, and they're dealing with stoning. Another thing that I thought of this last little while, go along with this subject a little more, and then we can go back to you, Andrew. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, I'm done.
I believe that the parable of the 10 virgins is about the second coming. And during Exodus, what happens at midnight? those who were not covered by Yahweh's blood on their house.
The destroying angel comes through and takes.
You go look at the parable of the 10 virgins, what happens at midnight?
Mhm.
They
The
were not
bridegroom.
let in the house, which is death.
Yeah.
Right? That's spiritual death,
Mhm.
just
Makes
like
sense.
Passover. But anyways, there's a lot more connections than I think most of us even know.
Mhm.
Well, that's the magic. I hate to use the word magical, but like that's the awesome thing about the scriptures, right?
I would use the word mysterious because that's what actually the Book of
Yes.
Mormon uses it.
Magical is a cult.
Yeah.
That's true. I
I
agree.
know you
That's
meant
why
it in a good
I
way,
use the
but-
word magical. That's the power. Let's say that. That's the power of the scriptures. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different layers to it. Once you get one, then all of a sudden another one comes up when you're ready for it, right?
Well,
And then-
yeah, there's multiple levels. There's multiple levels of interpretation in every. And I would say in almost every single verse of scripture.
Yeah. In some way or fashion, all of the scriptures point to Yeshua. In many cases, I can bring that out. Not every case yet, but I'm working on it. But I will say, the more we come to know Yeshua, the more we'll see him in the scriptures. Just as he stated in the New Testament, that they point to him. He was not lying. He was telling the truth.
I'll tell you what,
do.
I'm in 2 Kings right now in the Bible. It is fascinating stuff. This is like the first time, I guess, that I've been reading through the Old Testament, and it's full of so much good stuff. I'm loving it.
Is there
right
one you
now.
want to share, or just in general?
Well, I mean, I'm just noticing a lot of the patterns. Those who, when they're following Torah, right? When they're living Torah, they're prospered. The Lord takes care of them. And when they're not, when they're going off in idolatry and other things like that, then they run into really serious problems, and the cursings really come out big time.
Yeah,
And
the Torah tells us that.
See that in Judges. You see that in the book of Judges too.
Well, you see it throughout the Bible. It seems like the Old Testament is just like object lesson after object lesson after object lesson of what happens, how you live your life, and how that affects.
And the beautiful thing is you kind of have this. You have a hiatus. How the man who compiled the Bible compiled it, or the way we have the KJV, where Ruth is. You have like this object lesson, but then it's like there's a break.
Well,
And you have Ruth,
Ruth, which is an object lesson of the law in its full efficacy, people obeying the law, and obeying the law, honoring the law, and coming to Yeshua. Now the thing that I noticed in Ruth, Boaz, all the characters are both real and representational.
Yeah.
Boaz is representational of Yeshua or of Yahweh. And Ruth is representational of the bride.
Yep.
Um,
And Naomi is the church that brought her to him.
Yep. Naomi is the church.
And helped her know how to do it.
Yes.
Right?
That's key.
So Naomi, if I remember the name right, because I haven't read.
That
read
is
all of
right.
it.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
But she guided Ruth on how to go propose, basically, or maybe that's not the right word, but to tell. She helped Ruth know how to go tell Boaz that she wanted to be married to him.
Yeah.
And that's what the church should be doing with us.
That's what the church That's what the church is supposed to do.
Well, it still is doing it.
Yeah.
The problem is most people are listening to the wrong church,
Yes.
and then they get told how to not be the bride. Be the bride.
Then they get told how to be the whore.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Well,
Yeah, I guess
you-
probably. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Kelsey.
I was going to say I could probably somewhat answer this question on my own, but I kind of just want to see what you guys have to say. But I have wondered, why is it that Torah is so mysterious to us? Why is that so hidden? Why is that not more prominent in scriptures, more noticeable?
Because we don't know it. We grew up in cultures that said it's dead. It was nailed to the cross in Paul's term. The thing is, law of Moses was nailed to the cross, not Torah. And but churches, specifically Christian churches, will teach all the law was nailed to the cross in some form or manner. And so we don't know it. So when we read it, we don't know to recognize it, because the Hebrew thought mind is a little different than the Greek mind. The Greek mind on this point is to say, well, we're quoting or referencing such and such. Okay. Hebrews don't do that. They just quote a verse, and because they study and care about it so much, they know that that person's referencing this and is teaching Torah. So the more you know Torah, the more you'll see it in New Testament and the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, you're right. A lot more. Definitely.
And
you can't
honestly,
see what you do not know.
Yeah.
Coming from an LDS background, okay. How many? I'm not sure if that's your background or not. Is
That's
it
all of us, I believe.
okay?
all.
All of us. Okay. Coming from an LDS background, I know that we don't really read the scriptures very much.
No, at church,
Period.
at church,
General.
the teachers proof texts a verse here and here that
Yeah,
that their manual told them to, right?
Yeah, and then on top of that, what they end up doing is they end up like interpreting it the way they've been told to interpret it, even if there's a ton of mental gymnastics that have to be done to make it spin that way.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, okay, we're good.
But the whole thing is that everybody's so used to doing the mental gymnastics that it's really not that hard for them to do.
They
Until
don't think
it
that's
becomes
what they're
hard.
doing.
What's
They
that?
actually don't think it's mental gymnastics anymore.
No. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's
No,
because
like
that's why they start. That's why they start it, and that's why they start the teaching in this manner in primary. Because then, by the time you're an adult, your thought patterns are wired in a certain way so that it is not mental gymnastics to you.
Yeah. I was different though. Even when the calling I had the most was teacher. So I took the manual for the subject and then I taught it on my own.
Yeah.
So I was good and bad depending on who you asked. But
and
at the same time though, I got people to read and participate, where those who just did the manual straight didn't. And I actually had teacher classes that to some softly told me to stop doing that. I told them, no, I'm not going to. And you know what? They didn't get rid of my calling. So I guess they weren't too worried about it. They
weren't
would be
so
now
worried.
with how far I can take it, but back
Yeah,
then,
they weren't so worried that they wanted to go to the trouble of calling a new teacher.
yeah, maybe that's what it was. But anyways, they loved it and hated it because I got them to participate where the other teachers couldn't. So I think they were in a conundrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what to do. But yeah, we don't see it because we didn't grow up with it. I see it more because I've put concerted effort to study it, and I don't think I know it enough. to be honest.
Well, this is the thing, is if you, once you know the law and you start reading, start reading 2 Nephi 2, you'll see where Lehi's quoting it. You'll see where he's quoting the prophets and the writings.
Yeah, I think if I remember, Lehi said the prophet, and I think he's referring to Moses when he says that, if I remember correctly. Anyways, we'd have to double check, but.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to get going here.
All right. Well, it's nice for you to come for a bit. It's longer than last time, so we're getting better.
We're getting somewhere.
No, I'm really enjoying it though. But again, gotta get kids to bed. So
sure, that's understandable.
Give us a call tomorrow, Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do.
All right, take care.
You guys take care.
Bye.
So did you have another question, Kesley, or is it just that one?
Just that one, I think, for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just want to say one thing before I do my last little swig. Burning in the bosom.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, that has a lot of meaning
You
to it.
sure that's not how it burns, sir?
Well, it actually has a lot of meanings to it, right?
Yes,
No, I
absolutely.
know it.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'll just bring out one. Abraham's bosom is an everlasting burning.
Yes.
Yep.
What is wine? It's the joy and the
That's
atonement.
right.
That's right.
It's representational of the
Which we take in addition, at the same time, covenanting to keep his commandments, aka his Torah.
yes.
That's how we get in the burning bosom. But anyways, there's a lot of symbolism in these things. So
Through the keeping of the commandments.
yeah, that's how you get sanctified, right?
Yep.
And that's how you get to the.
I mean, even if you claim to believe in Joseph Smith, anybody who claims to believe in Joseph Smith has to believe that the commandments sanctify it. Because Doctrine and Covenants.
It's sad though that most of them don't.
Doctrine and Covenants, section 88. You see, the thing is most people can't tell the difference between justification and sanctification. They think they're the same thing.
On this point, I'll give them a little credit, or maybe not credit, but benefit of the doubt. I grew up in the Elders Church. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah, there is that.
But at the same time, at some point you need to take it on yourself, right? And I learned it and figured out because Yahweh told me, right? So, but because I diligently sought after him.
Well, it's kind of like after I received the baptism of fire, I was praying and asking, what now? And it's just like, well, read your scriptures. They'll tell you what now.
Well, yeah. In this new group I'm in, House of Order.
A house out of order. I'm in that.
House out of order. Sorry. I put in there today. My Torah is still valid post, and I put in there. I just blatantly stated why I did that post, and brought in and tied it into the last thing he said. This is part of what you need to do, because it's true.
This is what next.
Yeah, it's part of it, because even if we kept the law and we haven't come under Yahweh's authority, we're still different. You need both.
That's true.
You can't have one without the other. But anyways,
and Yahweh's authority.
It's kind of sad and telling why he couldn't answer, if you ask me. But I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on that on our.
Too many. And that's the whole thing, is that it's that whole thing that Paul talks about, forever learning and never coming to a knowledge of the truth.
Yeah, that's what I see in these Facebook groups. They're always arguing about the same damn things. And I said,
Forever
damn,
learning.
because those things are damning them.
Right, because they don't have the foundation of obedience and coming under the authority of Yahweh.
Yeah, what? But they
You'll
know
be
how
able
to.
to understand these things.
Sorry.
I've wondered those groups too, because I feel like when I got on that group, I thought, oh, there's a lot of people here that know a lot more about the scriptures than I do. And then to me, when like the things that you posted, they just called to me, and I thought, well, why was I so open to this stuff and they're not?
Because you're a lamb. You're a sheep. That's why. His sheep will hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they are, and they just haven't woken up yet.
Yeah.
I think
But-
that for many who come from the LDS background, they more often than not, they wake up to the corruption of the church first. And
Sure.
then they get reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
so-
is a typical grieving process. So that's a normal. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's appropriate or not, but it is normal.
It's normal. What you're seeing here is normal human behavior at work, is what I'm trying to say.
But
Yeah.
the sad thing is, many of them stay there.
Yeah. Many of them stay in that lawless state, always betwixt and between.
So
Mhm.
for me, I first woke up to the problems in the government. Then I woke up to the church. But I woke up to church and Torah about the same time. Not that I really understood Torah then, but I did. At the same time I saw the problem with the church, I saw the importance of Torah. Not that I understood it, but I had the desire to learn it and understand it and keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I went down some strange paths around those lines, and
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh woke me up some more.
Kabbalah will lead you to New Age, that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't really go. I wouldn't say I went down the Kabbalah path, but considering partly who helped wake me up to Torah was in Orthodox and Kabbalah, I probably got some of that unknowingly, but I definitely knew I was, to some degree, I knew I was looking at the Orthodox stuff, but I didn't know anything better until Yahweh woke me up a little by little on that. And then at some point it just came in a flood, but at first it was trickles.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the thing that I noticed is that when I received the baptism of fire, it's like the floodgates opened, and I was able to understand and read what I read a whole lot more.
yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a fire above my head like I've seen some people claim, but I had what Ben had. I could understand and expound significantly more in an instant than I could before. So there was nothing I could have just done myself with how quick the change was. I studied and prepared before, okay?
Right.
But that first rebaptism I did, I could see and sense a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he'll give it more abundantly.
Mhm.
Those who enter the covenant waters of baptism.
Yep.
But
I can tell you,
you got to find someone that's authorized of Yahweh to do it. So
See that? I think that's how I feel. I feel like I have a challenge there because I don't know many that are authorized. But
well, I believe you know two. It's just one's in Texas and one's in Argentina. So
yeah.
it's not very helpful at this point. So sorry about that.
I know. Well, I guess if it's meant to be, or if Yahweh wants me to, he'll help me find someone
in his time, right?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that the main thing is that if the opportunity arises, would you be baptized in that moment? Should the opportunity arise? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. And if you would, then that's a symbol probably that you've already made the covenant with Yahweh.
Yeah. The important thing is the covenant part. One of these, let's see, you might want to go watch this one. I think you weren't there, but we kind of went over this some, but Ben's right. And I went off of the example of Limhi and teaching it from the Book of Mormon, that the important part is the covenant, but they waited to be baptized until they had someone who had authority.
Okay. Yeah.
So you could go watch that video. I could do it again, but it'd probably be better to go over something else and you can watch that.
The thing is once you make the covenant, once you've actually made the covenant, the word will come alive to you because God wants you to understand the covenant that you've made.
Well, so I will say though, the act of the baptism does something if you've been accepted, okay, and found worthy.
But the covenant, the covenant itself
is
does
what
something
will save you when it comes to Judgment Day. Okay.
Yeah.
But the baptism makes you part of his organized structure here on earth, not heaven, on earth, and because of that covenant in his church on earth, part of it is to teach others and bring them to his truth. And so that's partly why.
So that's why the mind is enlightened.
Right.
No,
I on that point, I think some get that more than others, just because there's a hand in the body, there's a foot in the body, right? We all have different callings and talents and strengths. So some may have certain things more than others. But the hand can't say to the foot, it doesn't need it. And the foot can't say to the hand, I don't need you. We need each other. But it's easy to look at someone else's gifts and covet, which is against the law. Right? That's the 10th.
We ought to be, we should be content with the gifts we are given. I always see, and at the same time, I think that it's important to strive. It's important to seek greater gifts because we're commanded to seek greater and greater.
Yeah, it can be a tricky balance. So a big thing of coveting is wanting what the other person has. Seeing other people can make you covet, or it can give you encouragement to go do something yourself or get your own strength yourself, right? As in we're different members of the body. And so it can do both. And a lot of that depends on where your heart is at. Is it really a new creature, or is it the old creature with new excuses? If it's a new creature, you'll glory for the other people's talents and lift them up for it while seeking your own at the same time. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, one of my favorite quotes that I actually do believe is authentically from Joseph Smith is to take other by the hand and bring him to heaven. And in taking him by the hand, that says a lot. You do things with the hand. We are to help each other. Right? Anyways. I see a lot of symbolism in a lot of these statements. So yeah. So do you guys want to go to Ruth, or I actually have something that I got this week that I think helps my interpretation of a part of Daniel 9. I could show you guys, or we could go over some of the stuff in Ruth that you wanted to do.
Let's do Daniel 9.
Okay. So,
because I'm going to have to go and put boys to bed here shortly. So,
okay.
Yeah, let's go into your thing.
Okay. As you were looking at your brother with an interesting face. Okay, I'm gonna get my chiasm. I might be biased, but I kind of like it.
Never heard you say that before.
Me being biased? I'm open about my bias. The question is, can you support your bias logically?
And the other question is if your bias is proven wrong, can you abandon it?
Yeah. I'm just gonna make this a little smaller so all holding will show up.
Hopefully. Almost.
Yeah, okay. No, I think that's all, because that's the last A.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so oh, there we go. Okay, this is right here. So I believe the most important part of Daniel 9 is that it's a prophecy of Yeshua coming to be the Lamb to take away the sins of the world.
Mhm.
And that Lamb is represented by the law of Moses.
Yes.
In fact,
The
let
slain.
me sidetrack a little bit. Slain before the foundation of the world.
Mhm.
Let me get it here. It'll be quicker. So 3rd Nephi. Oh, actually, I don't need to go there. I have it in my notes. That'll actually be better because I have it in a chiasm there too. So, yeah. Sometimes I don't remember what I have. Sorry. Okay, so 3rd Nephi 15.
Mhm.
That. Oh, but this search. Oh, there. I'm gonna add. Okay, so 3rd Nephi 15. There's a statement in here, as you just saw me update it a little bit. Right? Behold, I am the law of Moses. When John said, "Behold, the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world," he wasn't talking about the Passover lamb, though that does point to Yeshua. He was talking about the law of Moses, daily performance and ordinances. Lamb.
Sin offering, the daily sin offering. Yeah, daily and nightly sin offering.
And to me, I know I'm adding or extrapolating or interpreting law to be law of Moses in here. But when you go read the rest of this and the other contexts of other places where the Book of Mormon talks about the law of Moses and Daniel 9 and Paul in the New Testament, Yeshua is the law of Moses. Okay. At every point of the law of Moses points to his last hours as a mortal man. And his sacrifice for us. Every point. Now, I know you heard me say this before, but I really seriously do want to do a post on that one day to show that.
Oh, yeah.
I
Why
would love to read that post.
I would love to finish it. I've started it some, but I've started so many. I need to finish. I have a problem with shiny objects and not enough time in the day. But anyway.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. But okay, so even that was a little size object, right?
Yeah.
No, oh, here it is. So Daniel 9. This is beautiful and very well thought out and written. I mean, we can start from the beginning and then talk, and then when we get to my point about the insight, we can talk about it, because yeah, let's just do that, and maybe not do too much, but so I'll just start with verse 20, because that's where I have the chiasm, right? And whilst I, Daniel, was speaking and praying and confessing my sins, so keep in mind what he was doing, confessing his sins. What is part of being saved and being forgiven? Is to confess your sins, right?
Mhm.
And
Confess your
I'm
sin.
bringing that out on purpose, because this brings out what this vision's about. And the sins of my people, Israel. So as you'll see, we read through this, Daniel was reconciled. The nation of Israel was not. They had consequences. They got the curse. They got a curse, right?
Mhm.
And presenting my supplication before Yahweh, my Elohim. Look at that. Modalism. Yahweh and Elohim, same entity. Sorry, Brighamites. It's in the Book of Mormon like this all over, and it is all over the Old Testament. It's
Mhm.
same person. Anyway, for my holy mountain. Speaking of what we were talking about earlier, so maybe Andrew can finish watching this and look at the next part of BB. The commandment came forth. Where did the commandments come forth from? Mount Sinai. It's even on BB. Anyways,
Mhm.
for the holy mountain of my Elohim, my judge. And what does the judge judge by? The law. That's why he's a judge, because he goes according to the law, right? And that's the better translation of God. I mean, the word behind is Elohim, but I would say a better translation is judge. Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, and even the man Gabriel, which is Yahweh, man of El. That's what Gabriel means, man of El. Whom I had seen in a vision at the beginning. So previous, better translation is previously in a previous vision. Caused to fly swiftly. Touched. I think a better translation is came, and I'm giving support for that for the Hebrew words, right? Me about the time of the evening. And so look at this. This is talking about the evening obligation or offering of the law of Moses. So even the time he was praying, I believe he's bringing that out to help get in the mind of the Hebrew reader what this is about.
Mhm.
It's about the law of Moses and what it points to. Okay. And he informed me and talked with me and said, "O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding."
That I am is a clear indication of who Gabriel is.
Yes. Which is why I kind of gave an emphasis to it, but yes. But you can get it just the name, Gabriel. You go look at it. But anyways, and the history that goes along with that he brings up. But anyways, this I am supports that even more, as Ben states. So who gave him understanding and skill? Yahweh, who is the great I am. At the beginning of thy supplications, the command came forth, and I am came to show thee, Daniel, for thou art greatly beloved. So, yeah, anyway, I'll give you that one. And therefore, understanding.
Was there another
matter.
squirrel? Was there another squirrel poking up its head?
Yeah. There's lots of. I just see. So, the more I study, the more I see.
Yeah.
And the more connections, and how all these connections makes everything so simple. If you would just open your eyes to see and ears to see. I was so blind and deaf.
Yeah.
I really was.
Wow.
But now I can see.
I think we all were.
And now I have joy. And anyways, therefore, understand the matter.
Matter being reconciliation and consequences. Yeah.
Which, when you go look at the Hebrew, theme. Therefore, understand the theme of this vision, which is reconciliation and consequence of sin, which is what you'll see here. Daniel was forgiven. Israel was destroyed. Their city and their temple. That's historical fact. 70 AD. Anyways, and consider the vision of the 70
and we're talking, so that's talking about the 70-week vision.
Yeah, because it's this vision right here. And I believe the reason that this stuff up here is here, a big part of it, is to help us know the theme of what's below. I don't believe it was accident. I don't believe it's random. And it's just, he's just writing things because it's just how it happened. There's a purpose to this madness. Okay.
Well, when it's Yahweh, it's not madness. It's
I didn't use the best word. I was partly
things that we do not understand.
Yes.
In our
those who
natural.
don't understand will think it's madness.
Yes.
Right. And
yes.
And pointless, right? Because until you start seeing the purpose and the connections, you'll think it's all madness and pointless. Because it means nothing to you. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you'll use it to justify whatever, or you'll interpret it in whatever way justifies your current.
Yeah. Well, Daniel 9, I think, is a key verse for many things. Actually, one of it is dispelling a lot of false prophecies that, sadly, restorationists push and believe, and pretty much most of Christendom. And on top of that, Jews don't like this one also. Because they say they're waiting for Messiah. This shows that he's already come. Okay? And yeah, anyways, okay. So 70 weeks, which is the prophecy and vision, right? Now, you'll see, even in English, when we're saying the same thing again right after another, it's bad form to say the exact same term again, right? It sounds funny. Same thing in Hebrew, okay? So just because he's using different words doesn't mean it's something different. It just means they have the same thing in their brain that makes them, they don't want to hear the exact same word, one word after another. That's all it is. And that's why I'm just kind of pointing here. It's pointing and talking about the same thing. Are determined upon Daniel's people, the Israelites, and upon thy holy city, Jerusalem, to finish. And I think a better one is translation of finish in this case is annihilate the sin of the first Adam. Resurrection. Right?
Yep.
And to make an end or obstruct the effects of sin, those who repent. Physical death, spiritual death. And to make recollection, I'm having a hard time saying that, reconciliation for sin. This is what this vision's about, or primarily about, right?
Yeah.
To get rid of the effects of sin. Now, so the thing that came to me that goes along with this week that I think supports this, because here I am showing that I am translating it different than the King James, but I'm giving support to it by looking at the Hebrew behind the actual words. Okay, that's what these links are. Now let's go look at, was it Luke 14:18? Because I did look at it a little bit this week. if it's not that one, I can find it. All right. Oops.
Luke 14:18.
No. Hold on, let me find it.
Okay.
One second, I can find it. Oh, Luke 4:16.
Oh, that's very different.
Oh, 4, not 14. Huh.
There you go.
Okay. And he, Yeshua, came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for a read. And he was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. So here, some people will say this was a parsha reading, right? They're supposed to have their certain things read. I disagree with this, and I think even a close reading of this will show this. So this states, and when he opened the book, he found the place where it was written. So he was given the book of Isaiah. He then went and read in the book what he wanted to read. He went and opened the book. He found the place where it was written. Versus he went to it. Versus it was already there for him to go to, right?
Right.
Because I know people use this to justify parsha readings, which is their annual Torah readings for the week.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
He went to where he wanted to, I think, with a close reading of that. So, but here's the main point here. So that was just being able to eat your cake, okay? But the Spirit of Yahweh was upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. So his anointing, right? At his baptism.
Mm-hmm.
To the poor of heart. Because who heard him? Those who had a poor heart.
Mm-hmm.
Poor spirit. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, recovering the sight of the blind, and set liberty them that are bruised. Say to them liberty. Liberty from what? Sin. What is that? What is? That's
What
just
is
what I
liberty from
showed from Daniel 9.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Made or make an end or obstruct the effects of sin. He set them free from sin because he worked out the atonement, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe, and I think it's pretty easily supported, that verse supports my interpretation and better translation and little glyphs to help people better understand of that verse. But I will admit I'm biased, but I think I can find that bias in the scriptures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's what matters is, it's we use the scriptures to prove what we believe to be correct. And if we don't use the scriptures to prove what we believe to be correct, then we're really just stumbling around in error.
Well,
not.
A lot of people who use the scriptures to prove what they think are right are actually just stumbling around in error.
Well, you have, the thing is you have to, any interpretation of scripture that pits God's word against itself
It's foolish.
is foolishness.
Right. So, but to go along with this, you go look at the chiasm that's here. We'll just do A, to finish, to annihilate the transgression of the first Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go look at the other A,
Yeah.
to anoint, fill with the Spirit, the most holy. So when you get rid of the first sin, they can now be anointed, because you can't have an anointing and sinning together, right?
So is that saying that the baptism of fire never happened before the, I don't think that
No,
necessarily.
that's not what
means-
that's saying. But because
I
of what
don't-
he did right then made it possible.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And this was done from before the foundation of the world, so yeah.
Well, we knew it was going to, and because everybody knew it was going to, we can have the effects before it happened. Because it was
Right.
as if it had already happened.
Right. Yeah, God's word is the only word that really takes effect with. It's
Right,
if
because
he
he's the only
gives
one
it-
that knows the past, present, and future.
That's right. Well,
Even when the prophets know it, it's only when Yahweh gives it to them.
mhm.
It's not because they figured it out. It's because Yahweh gave it to them. Because
Yeah.
Isaiah, I forget where, he says, basically giving a challenge. You think you can prophesy? Prophesy. Let's
Do
see.
it.
Do it. And they can't. Though I will say, there's self-fulfilling prophecy out in the world today. And a lot of people fall for those. And part of Daniel 9 of this interpretation I'm bringing out destroys the self-fulfilling prophecy, false understanding of this prophecy that people put forth, because those are in charge are pushing something that's not to people to
technically those who are in charge are aware of the false understanding of Daniel 9 because they put it there, they put it out there, and so now they put it out there to make it look like their false Messiah that is coming is the real Messiah.
Yeah, but that's also in prophecy too. But anyways,
Exactly.
going back to this, so let's go look at bees to make and obstruct the effects of sin. Okay, let's go look at the other bee, to seal up. So when you go to make sure, make your calling election made sure. That's only possible because these effects of sin are erased because of Yeshua's atonement. Also, what's needed to seal up in the Old Testament? Blood. Yeshua gave his blood.
Yep. Vision.
And so, and to seal up, make sure with blood, confirm, prevail the vision, which is prophecy, covenant, in the middle of the last of the 70 weeks vision. So that's when Yeshua died. Okay. 2 C's, to make reconciliation for sin, to bring everlasting righteousness. We are saved by Yeshua's marriage.
Both,
so the C and C go together.
and he does, and that is the center focal point of that whole chiasm, which means that all of this around it is to bring us to this, a reconciliation of sins and everlasting righteousness.
Yeah, we can go through the rest of this if you want, but the thing that I got had to do with especially this part.
Yeah,
right there.
no, I mean that's pretty cool.
So it's not something that I just only see there. Now I can find it in other places, but it completely makes sense to me even without that. But it's nice to get it confirmed somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, once you understand once you understand the Hebraic literary structures and what they're supposed to do, it's really pretty cool to watch so many of these prophecies just become clear through use of chiasm.
Yeah, I love chiasms, if you've noticed. I put my fingers where my mouth is because I spend the time to bring them out.
Yeah.
You see, with that one thing, mainly the reason why what I posted the other day is not exactly the comment that I did back to the one guy, is because I took some of the verses and chiased them. That's the only difference I did. I turned some of them to chiasms. And I made the scriptures under the quote sections and little stuff like that. But the main thing I did was made the scriptures and brought out chiasms in the scriptures that I quoted that I didn't make into chiasms before.
I have a wonder if the testimony of John the Baptist at the beginning of the Gospel of John is a chiasm too.
Well, we can go look right now if you want, unless Kesley has something else she wants to do.
No, that'd be good. Let's go look.
All right. So, actually, to do this one, I'm gonna. First, I'll open Kindle.
Because to me, it's like the clearest indication that this is actually the clearest indication and testimony that just as Jesus, or just as Yeshua, or Yahweh is eternal, so is his law is eternal as well, because it's identified with him. His word is identified with him. And so it would be really interesting to see if that is also a chiasm.
Sure. So first, let's just start here to see if there's some repeating patterns to start. Generally speaking, the center is the easiest to find the repeating, right? Because they're right next to each other, where the other ones are further apart. But let's start here. And I prefer to do it in the JST, right? But anyways.
Yeah. In the beginning was
Ben.
Okay. In the beginning was the gospel preached through the Son, and the gospel was the Word, and the Word was with the Son, and the Son was with God, and the Son was of God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made which was made. In him was the gospel, or life. He uses the gospel in the place of life, and the gospel was the life, and the life was the light of men. I mean, there's so much repetition of phraseology in here, but it's all within the same phrase. And so that's the thing. The light shineth in the world, and the world perceiveth it not. Then, the world replacing darkness. That's pretty cool. Then was a man sent from God whose name was John. That's the same came into the world for a witness, to bear witness of the light, to bear record of the gospel through the Son unto all, that through him men might believe. He was not that light, but came to bear witness of that light, which was the true light, which lighteth every man who cometh into the world, even the Son of God. He who was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them he gave power to become the sons of God, only to them who believe on his name. He was born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the same word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him, and cried, saying, This is he of whom I spake. He who cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. For in the beginning was the Word, even the Son, who was made flesh, and sent unto us by the will of the Father. And as many as believe on his name shall receive of his fullness, and of his fullness have all we received, even immortality and eternal life through his grace. For the law was given through Moses, but life and truth come through Jesus Christ. For the law was after a carnal commandment to the administration of death, but the gospel was after the power. Yeah, it was after. So this is clearly referring to the law of Moses.
This is clearly stated, at least those who have eyes.
This ties right back into Daniel.
This is the law of Moses. It's the daily performances and ordinances.
This testimony that he's talking about here is tying right back into Daniel 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I even see that now that you mention it. But at first I was just seeing that the law, the law given through Moses was the law after a carnal commandment, which The Exodus JST shows us that that's the law of Moses. And what was it? DNC 88 or 84. We talked about it before, but anyways, that's the law given through Moses is the carnal commandment, aka the law of Moses, aka the daily performances and ordinances, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says, to me, it's so clear right there with that JST.
Yep. And no man hath seen God at any time except he hath borne record of the Son.
Yeah.
For except it is through him, no man can be saved. That's interesting.
So
I don't think it's chiastic, but it's definitely.
Well, let's see. I would, and this was the record of John, which the Jews. If there is one, I would wonder if it's from here to here. Okay. So
Yeah.
if let's go take I don't like the Kindle app. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Everything has their pros and cons. So let's go to Kindle. I mean there. Let's see what we can get, right? Where to put this? I know, JST. Oops, just. Okay, so first of all, I got to clean this up. So you got to give me a minute.
Yep.
But actually, here, I'll just share my whole. Oops. Resume. Stop share. You can maybe. I'm sure there's a way to share the whole screen. Screen, there it is. Because you can help me make sure I clean it up correctly.
Will come. And the word was with. Yep. And the word. So yeah.
All right. Okay. 2, 3.
That. Life needs to be gotten rid of both times in that verse.
Okay, that's it for 4.
Now 5. What? Okay. Light shineth in darkness needs to be eliminated.
Both
and
times,
comprehended needs to be eliminated.
Oops. Yeah, I have 3 types of keyboards installed, as you just saw. Anyways, sorry. Get rid of comprehend.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for 5.
Now we go down to 6. There needs to go away.
Okay, now 7.
Now 7, yeah. Let's see, all men.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll go to 8.
Okay,
What?
was sent. And 9.
Okay. That.
2 that's
Oops.
need to go. And that before who.
That's it. Yeah. So 10.
Go to verse 10. There's
nothing to removed.
Nothing to remove there. Verse 11, likewise.
Oh, that's good. I like those ones.
In verse 12,
They're
we've
easier.
got a little bit of work to do.
Okay.
Even needs to
then-
go, even before only. Yeah. And that
That.
before. Here we go.
Okay, 13.
13. Which were needs to
So
go.
one thing I like in doing this, because some people may find this a waste of time. I find it helps me understand the passage more because I'm looking for the connections
Yeah.
and the imagery, how they're using it in multiple places. So I would argue this is an exercise that everyone should do. Because to do this, you have to understand it. And if you want to understand it, you have to put in the time. Anyways.
Yep.
So shout out for doing this.
Yeah.
It's not just a waste of time. Okay, so
14,
14,
there's absolutely nothing to take out there.
there's 1 and 15.
1 and 15. Bear instead of the bear before bear.
Oh, they just changed the spelling.
And
And it
16.
looks like there's a that too.
Oh, yes, before who.
I think that's it. So next is 16.
Yep, right now we go into 16. And grace 4. I wish I. Yeah, right there. You're right over it.
Okay, 17.
Get rid of by and grace. And
That's it.
by
No.
before through.
Oh, okay.
And the by before through.
Yeah. 18. That one.
It's good.
I'm
19.
just gonna get rid of 18 because
Okay.
this one is a bit.
Only begotten. Needs to go away, which was in the bosom of the Father. He hath declared him. All goes away.
Okay. And that's
Oh, that's so much more understandable.
okay. Well, here comes a good part. Oops.
Where we try to find the patterns in speech.
Yeah. Let me get a little drink.
Mhm. After all, this is dry work.
Oh, I was thinking I was getting revelation.
Oh, well, that too.
Okay. So, no hath God has seen any time. So this is rough draft. We're not final. We're starting.
Yep.
Possibly, right?
Yep.
Son and son. And,
Yes.
and this is going off of how the Son preached, and the gospel was the word, and the word was the Son, and the Son was God, and the Son was of God. If they would have seen the God, they would have known that.
And that's actually supported as another A by this, and no man hath seen God at any time except he hath borne record of the Son.
Yeah.
It's through him no man can be saved.
I think those two should go together on A. We'll go through this. It is, but part of it is just the wording in 20, the verse after, makes it sound like that was kind of done with the statement also, right? But I also see here, in support of that, here's two A's, 2 points that go along with each other. Okay. Now I'm doing this live, so these are my, I'll make mistakes, or we'll make mistakes as we're doing this.
Yeah.
And the same was in the beginning.
Now this might actually be a subsection.
Yeah. So it's this. Now, sometimes chiasms contrast.
Okay.
So this is where now we have to, I'm not sure, so we're gonna have to dig into some other ones. Because if this does go here, this would be in a contrast, okay? But let's go look at this next one, because I'm not so confident on that one. Made. All things were made by, in fact, you know what? Him, and without him, I think this is a nice thing, right? It's just like the majestic plural. I'm doing the majestic pronouns, for lack of a better term, right? Anyways,
Oh, so you're doing
that's
you're
Elohim right there. That's God. That's Yahweh.
Yeah, you're doing your pronouns.
Yeah, I'm doing my. I'm gonna make a phrase. Majestic pronouns. I've been doing it. I just coined the phrase. Anyways, sorry. I'm being a dork. In him was the gospel, and the gospel was life. Those two might go together. You know what? I just right off this is a possibility. All right, those are building upon each other.
Yes.
Possibility.
Yeah, I can see that. Now what about 16, 17, 18 kind of in juxtaposition?
Okay, let's go look at a possibility.
To our 2 through 5.
Yeah, let's see.
And sent unto us by the will of the Father, as many as will believe in his name, and of his fullness hath we all received him. For the law was given unto Moses, but life and truth came through Jesus Christ. For the law was after carnal commandment to the administration of death, but the gospel was after the power of an endless life. At least 17 and 18 are both combined.
So I see it as a good possibility. So 16, the beginning was the word, even the Son. All things were made by him.
Correct. That actually ties right back
17 and B. In him the gospel, and the gospel was the life, and life was light of men. For the law given through Moses, but life
and
through
truth
Jesus Christ, Yeshua the Messiah. Okay. 4 and 17 go together. And I see 5 and 18 going together. The light shineth in the world, and the word perceiveth not. Now, why was the law of Moses given? Because they did not see the light.
They did not
the law
perceive
of
the
Moses
light.
was to help them to see it. So I think your initial thought is correct. Right?
Yeah.
Now I think there's some subs in there that we can make it, do subchiasms in there, but I think your initial thought that A, B, and C's goal is correct, because I see A, B, B, and C. So that would make me inclined, to put that up here, right?
Yeah.
And we'll have to dig into that one a little more, but because there's probably a chiasm here that would make this make a little more sense, and same with this one right here. But right now, I'm inclined enough to do this, right?
Yeah.
And both of these we probably need to do a little more on, but I think they're good enough to as a good base that we should go look at the rest and then come back to those.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good spot. Okay.
Then was a man sent from God whose name was John. John bear
Look,
witness.
John and John.
Yep.
There might be more of that, and why does Yahweh send prophets? To bear witness of him.
Yep.
Right? So that definitely goes together. Okay. He came in the world for a witness, to bear witness of the light, to bear record of the gospel through this.
And the same word was made flesh and dwelt among us.
7 and 14 go together.
Yeah.
All right. Oops. Where'd my carrot go? There it is. Jews. We'll dig more into that because that could be broken down more, but those go together.
He was not that light, but came to bear witness of that light. He was born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God, which was the true light, which cometh everything. Oh, wow. 9 and 12 go together too.
Hold on. Oh, let's see real quick. Oh, look at that, and I'll go back to what I was looking at. Which was the true light, which light every man who cometh into the world.
But as
Yeah,
many,
yeah, those definitely. So that's probably those are probably F.
yep.
I still want to look at these other ones first, but I think you're right. And these two probably go together. Let's go check that. Even the son of Elohim, he who was in the world, and the world was made by him, and they knew him not, and he came unto his own. Yeah, yeah, because that's both talking about what he.
Not receiving. Bam.
Yeah, okay. He was. I want to look at 8 and 13 though.
Yeah.
So that's 8's talking about John bearing witness.
This is
of
talking about
Yahweh.
John bearing witness of the light, who was born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man.
So
Yeah.
John's witnessing of what's being stated in 13. So yes.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Breaking up and it's coming together pretty cool,
Yeah,
right?
well,
now.
we got our base done, right?
Yeah.
Now in the past, I would just leave it at that, but now I even go further. So which one do you want to do further? I'm inclined to do this one first.
Yeah.
Okay, in the beginning, the gospel was preached through the Son, and the gospel was, and now this is, I'm going to do my majestic pronoun.
The gospel was the word.
What
is the word? What is the word? The word is
make that
Torah.
majestic.
The gospel was the word. The word was with the Son. When that word, that combination of words, the word, that's Torah.
Hold on. I see AA. Yeah.
Yeah.
B.
And if you can point to a literal translation of the word being Torah, that would be freaking awesome. Or a link that shows the literal translation of Torah is the word.
So, what do you think of that?
I like it.
The beginning, right? Gospel was the word. And yeah, this one's may not be as strong, so maybe.
But this is actually another strong indicator of this is actually another strong indicator that the Son is simply another role of the Father. The Son was of God. Not just I'm looking at doctrine here. That's primarily what I'm looking at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So one thought, I wonder if maybe this is an AB here, and this is another AB.
Oh yeah. This whole thing here. Yeah, with God and of God.
Yeah, so like
Yeah, I think I can see that.
I'm wondering more. I mean, some of this might be quibbling over little things,
Yeah, small
but
points.
right now I'm more inclined to go like that.
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
Because these two more look like they go together,
Yep.
and these two look like they more go together. Because
Yeah.
an A B couplet are kind of supporting of each other, right? And A B C
Yeah,
is kind
exactly.
of building.
Mhm.
And I didn't see those really too much. I mean, you could probably go with the chiasm, and some people might there, but I'm more prone to go to ABs there.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that. That's what I see going. I mean, I can see that going on there. Yeah.
I mean, I could go either
When you
way,
Because
say,
go
when
ahead,
you
Kelsey.
say when you say they go together, is it that they're like answering each other, or they're just meaning the same thing?
Well, I think they kind of go together because, like this one, and the sun was with Elohim, and the sun was of Elohim.
and in the same way, and the gospel was the word, and the word was with the Son. And so
Yeah, especially how they're both kind of saying the same, kind of playing the same way.
they're putting
I-
they're playing the same relationship kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The one thing that's a little interesting though, the two middle ones are both with, and the two outer ones is not
Of.
though. Well, this one doesn't have of.
Oh.
I almost said of myself, so don't worry about it. I just caught myself before you did. But the two center ones are with, so I could see how someone might go with the C in the middle, but
But
because
what I see is what I see here is these two are relationally the ABB pairings are the same relational pairings.
yeah, these are talking about the same basic thing together and wording it
Yeah.
a little different. And so
Yeah,
I
the
think that gives,
gospel was the word, and the word was with the Son, same as the Son was with God, and the Son was of God. You
right.
see?
Yeah, I completely agreement with you there, Ben. And I think that's a good case for why it should be ABAB
Mhm.
instead of ABC, CBA. So
Because the relational pairings are the same.
yes, I agree. But they're both B's because they're still kind of going along with each other, right? But it is an ABAB relationships there.
Yeah.
This is insightful. You see, this we
Well,
actually get
first up, the first thing that really got borne home to me, as I said, the gospel was the word that combination that the thing in Hebrew that would be come down as the word would be Torah.
Yeah. Well, you know
The gospel was the word, and Torah was with the Son.
because it actually that's what
In the
that's what that
beginning.
world was, right? Yeah.
Before the world was, Torah was with the Son.
Yeah.
And the Son, this sets the relations of the gospel with Jesus Christ, and for those who aren't into the Hebrew roots parlance, with the gospel with Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ with God.
Mm-hmm.
Or in other words, Torah with Yeshua and Yeshua with Elohim.
Which goes along with how we're going to live Torah in the eternities.
Yep.
And also with what Joseph Smith said, what is not eternal is not of Yahweh. So if the law we live now is not eternal, it's not from Yahweh.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, I think that's good on that A there. Now,
Yeah.
so I would be, unless you guys have another inclination, I'm prone to go down to this other A.
Yeah. Septia, born record of the Son.
So that one was pretty easy for me. That's what I see.
Yeah, and that's Yeah, I see that pretty well. That makes sense. Well, but what this is also showing, it's showing that same relational thing. The Son was with God and the Son was of God. No man hath seen God, Elohim, at any time, except he hath borne record of the Son.
Yeah, the
Founding the
main
great
point, they can't do either of these because these two A's go together, except unless he hath borne record of the Son.
Yep.
Just as those are ashamed to bear witness of me in the world, I will not bear witness of them.
But on another level of meaning, what did Jesus Christ say to his disciples when they asked him to show them the Father?
I think you said that wrong, but when the apostles asked Jesus Christ to show
Yeah,
the Father,
yeah.
maybe that's what you said, and maybe I heard something different. But anyways,
Maybe
yeah.
okay, I said disciples. I should have said apostles.
Anyways, I know what you mean now. If I didn't quite catch it, and
He said,
for doubting Thomas, do you
if
not
you have
know
seen me, you have seen the Father. If you have
Yeah.
seen me, you have seen the Father.
And
So
it's
this is
literally
another level
saying,
of meaning on here.
well, he's literally saying, I am the Father.
Yeah.
Do you not know me yet, Thomas? Poor Thomas. Doubting Thomas. Poor Thomas. But do you not know me? Even one of those he chose didn't know him at that point. I mean, he did later, right?
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up if you haven't figured it out yet. All right. Give yourself time. But
not too much time. We don't have
right. Because if you don't wait, but be patient with yourself while diligently seeking to work on it. So let me clarify that. For those who need the very explicit word. Right. But anyways, no man has seen God except it is through him who cannot be saved. Or
no man can be saved. For except it is through him, no man can be saved.
Or maybe it's building. No man can see Elohim at any time except he hath borne record of the Son, except it is through him no man can be saved. So maybe that's building, actually.
Yeah, that's a builder. That's a builder, I think.
Right now I'm inclined to think it's more a builder than a crescent.
Yeah.
Then
something that's actually going back to what was
right. Rather than chiasm going back. No man has seen Elohim or the Father, right? Because same thing at any time, except he hath borne record of the Son. So unless you believe in Yeshua, who is the Son, who saves us because of what he did, you can't bear witness of the Father, who is the judge, except it is through Yeshua, because without him, no one can be saved.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a builder, ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I literally do this stuff on all the chiasms I do. Some of them are easier than others, but I look at this in depth, the concepts and how they're building and what it's doing to help figure out these things.
Yeah.
So when I say I put more depth than I actually explicitly write out, it's true. These chiasms have depth.
Yeah. So it's just like all the stuff that we've been expounding on in the upper A. That's not written. It's not written there, but it's pretty clear for those with eyes to see.
Yeah, this is where this is like a real study practice to do this.
Yep.
And if you really care to get it right, you think about what's going on in these things too, as you see Ben and I doing right now, right? We're discussing it, trying to figure out what makes most sense and how to present this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always obvious right away, at least not
No.
always to me.
Well, no, it's presentation. Presentation is not always the best. Presentation is not always an obvious thing.
So let's go. I'm inclined to just go to work on this B now, unless you want to go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Oh, sure, why not? Let's see. All things were made by
So
him. Yeah, yes. That's pretty clear.
so this one I see.
This is a
sub
supporting
A, B,
chiasm
C.
for. This is a supporting chiasm for A.
Well,
What I'm seeing in B is a support is a lot. There's a lot of support for A because you've got the same. You've got again, but then again, you would
are you talking about BA and BB
the
or the root A?
yeah, it B ties back into the root A.
Yes.
That's all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
would agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they're building up a concept, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're
here's
laying
base.
foundation to get G.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Yes.
doing. They're building a
Yeah. So,
foundation to get up to
yeah.
G.
So if you think of this as a pyramid, your A's are your base.
Is it a scheme?
Maybe.
Did you get a pyramid scheme? Okay, sorry.
Maybe.
Just going off of a modern day priestcraft.
Yeah. There you go. Let's uphold that for the world.
Sorry. I'm sidetracking us. My bad. Sorry. Go ahead.
And so, for those, we are recording right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to pause it?
So I'm going to talk about what we're doing here. So with as we've divided this into A's, B, all the way A through F,
You know
A
what?
is your base.
I want to see. I wonder. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm
The
just
A,
thinking
yeah,
while you're
the
doing
A
it.
is your base. The B is the next level up. C, E is C, D, E, and so on until we get to the pinnacle, which is what we're actually supposed to be directed towards by the chiasm, which is G. So now that we've explained that, let's go on.
So I know we already did, but I'm always rethinking these things.
Right, of course.
I've
naturally.
even remapped a little bit that I've published because this is
Yes.
just a continual thing.
Yeah, because these two are
I-
repetitions of the exact same idea.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
And I think, and I can see the purpose of this one without him, right?
Mhm.
So I think that one's better. Anyways.
Yes.
But I do think this B is another ABC.
Yes, it builds.
That one's a
This is
builder.
A builder. And definitely, yeah, this B, yeah, that's definitely a builder right there. And the light shineth in the world, and the world perceiveth it not. This one's pointing us towards the world perceiveth it not. Is really pointing us up to the next level of the pyramid, as it were.
So my first inclination is this. I could maybe
Yes.
do this. And in some ways, I'm a little more inclined to do that.
Yes. And so yeah. So what you have here, the BCAs are in contrast.
Yeah.
Are in contrast of each other.
Uh-huh.
And the BCBs, yes, and we're talking about the world, setting up who is the non-perceptive and who receives the light.
Yeah. I need to pause. I need to get a drink. I'll be right back.
Mhm. I get into this.
So I don't know if you want to repeat anything while I was gone.
No. I was just
Chit-chat.
talking. We were just chit-chatting there.
Oh, that's fine. So one thing I was thinking, while I was getting my drink, some of this, what we're bringing out, without what Joseph Smith restored, including big sections, would not be possible without the JST,
Yeah.
right? Here, I'll just share the other screen again real quick. So this is a ploy to help people believe in the JST.
But
But
it did come from you.
there's these big sections,
Yeah.
mostly added, and there's a few big sections taken out. But this chiasm that we're working on, good sections of it wouldn't not be possible without that JST. So just in support of the JST, I do like it. Okay, so with that thought, let's go back and work some more. Personally, I do like doing this. Hence, go look at mine. All things you should do post. I did 101 full chiasms in there, doing this one by one. Anyways, this is the first one I've done with someone. This is actually kind of fun, batting it off with you, Matt.
Actually batting it off of people was kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's good right there, right? I mean, it may look a little funny, but at the same time, it's what's there, right? The light.
It's what, yeah, you know, you don't.
In the world and the world.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It doesn't necessarily have to look great. It just has to. It's what's there.
Yeah.
And that's what
Okay.
you got to work with.
Yeah. So let's go here. BA.
For in the beginning was the Word, even the Son, who was made flesh, and sent unto us by the will of the Father. Another break there. And it shall receive of his fullness, and of his fullness have we all received.
I don't know if these are good breaking points, but this is, you're seeing
You
what
might
I
as
actually
well.
do.
This is
This helps
the
me
first
see
step.
things.
This is the first step. You're breaking the
It
point.
doesn't have to be, but I do. This is what I do. All right.
Yeah, but it makes sense. That's what I'm saying. It makes sense.
I gotta do my majestic pronoun.
Well, you missed a spot. There's his fullness up here.
Oh, is there another one?
Line above.
There's his grace.
And his name.
I missed
And as many as believe on his
his
name
name. Yeah, there we go.
shall receive of his fullness. There we go.
Oh, his fullness is, so this has got to be the center right there. Okay.
Yes.
Fullness.
Yep. The absolute repetition of the exact same word.
Eternal.
Eternal.
I don't know. In the beginning, grace.
In the beginning, even the Son, by the will of the Father.
In some ways, this, fullness and fullness, that would make me think center, but right now I'm
I'm not thinking so much. I'm not thinking so much. And as many as shall believe on his name shall receive of his fullness. That does seem to be a pinnacle point.
Sorry, which point do you think?
As many as believe on his name shall receive of his fullness. That seems.
Yeah, so this could be a center one.
Yeah. And others.
Okay, so
Sent unto us by the will of the Father. What is the will of the Father? Receive of his.
Why can we have grace? Because of the Son.
In the beginning. Yep.
And
through his grace.
It was from the beginning, right? From the foundation of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Immortality, eternal life, flesh. This is those are contrasts
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah, those are two contrasts with each other. And sent on to us by the will of the Father, and the will of the Father is,
Yeah, so this is going to be.
sorry. I get excited.
No, I'm excited too. I'm just trying to get this. Okay, I got to get these labels right.
Yeah, you gotta get the,
And some of the times with these big ones, you can get lost.
yep.
And I'm not complaining, but it can be a little easier to get lost while working with someone else. And
Yep.
it's just because some of these they get deep. But anyways, I'm glad you suggested to do this. This is fun. Okay.
As many as believe on his name shall receive it. Yeah, this is great. That's it right there. I think. Okay.
Yeah, it probably doesn't matter, but I just
You like the idea of having the two in the
2D.
middle as well
I
as
like the
two.
2Ds more than one. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we could do
yeah.
a DAB. I'm okay with that, but back maybe I will.
There we
This is
go.
probably a minor point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think that yeah.
Okay, I will. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay. We can.
I think that's good, unless you wanted to say something about it. 'Cause I think
I think
good.
that's about as fully fleshed out as it's going to, as we can get that.
And that definitely goes with the other BA, right?
Yep. Yep.
So,
Definitely, it's going along the same lines. Now we go here. The law was given through Moses.
yeah, this one's pretty simple, at least in my mind.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of contrasting. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm obsessed doing stuff like that, but
Yeah. Well, you got to get the Hellenistic out of here.
yeah, that's partly what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I think BB's done, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's that. I can see that. And then you have BC. The law of Moses was after a carnal commandment. Yep. For the gospel. This is a new idea.
I think that's an interesting idea, though. If you look at it, was after a carnal commandment, the law of Moses being carnal commandment. Even we've had this discussion about certain commandments being carnal versus spiritual.
Well,
Temporal. There's the temporal, spiritual.
Temporal versus spiritual.
Yeah.
Carnal is just about
Carnal is
blood.
The blood, which
Yeah.
is what the administration of death, which is the daily performance and ordinances, the
Yep,
daily
right.
killing of 2 lambs. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. But the gospel was after the power of an endless life through Jesus Christ. Yes, who is in the bosom of the Father. No, man, all kinds of references in here to the nature of Christ and for the nature of the relationship with between
So,
Yeshua. And,
this is what I'm seeing.
yeah, those two and these two are connected.
And then
Yes. Yeah, that's what I see.
death versus life. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's building and destroying contrast, right?
Yep, which ties right back to Daniel 9.
Yeah, because
As
Daniel
being a
9 is
prophecy
about
of the
life and death too.
cessation.
Because
Yep.
the forgiveness
Daniel.
versus the curse,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Because Daniel got the blessing, the forgiveness, and the nation got the curse because they rejected the Messiah.
Yep.
And why'd they get the law of Moses? Because they rejected the law, the first law, right? Torah. And they were giving extra. They were giving extra. They didn't take away Torah. They were given more as a punishment to help keep them in remembrance. But because it all points to what saves us, the law of Moses all points to Yeshua and his great sacrifice. Anyways.
Amen.
And okay, so BA, BB, and BC. All right, so I think we did the B's.
Yep, B's are fleshed out.
And I mean, just to review, BA goes with BA, BC, I mean, BB goes with BB, and BC goes with BC, right?
Yep, and him with God, oh God.
It's just we then flushed them out even more.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Which
they'll
I think
go
is
together.
nice, but it can also make it a little more confusing. It's a double-edged sword there.
They all go together.
Yeah. Okay.
Then was
this one. Oopsie.
into C.
I just see an AB.
Yeah, that's CACB. And then is this also just a this may or may not.
Well,
actually.
okay, so this is interesting, like John and John. So I wonder if C needs to be split up into two.
Interesting.
See that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing out a theory here. This is where we have to go flesh it out.
John bear witness of him. Okay. Yes. Or he was before me. I think the next breaking point. But I may be mistaken. I have been before, but who cometh after me? Okay, it is preferred before me. Yeah, that seems, yeah, slightly different idea. So yeah. But this is like a reiteration. That he cometh after me is preferred before me. Last first, first last. Once again. Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? Just
yeah, that's good. Move
so
them.
along with that, that makes me think we need to split C into two, because this
yeah,
goes with that, right?
maybe there was a man sent from God. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yes, 6 needs to be split into. Yes. Yeah.
This is not for the faint-hearted. Got to know your alphabet. Anyways, I think that fits better.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we have C and D. Now let's go do E.
Same came into the world for a witness, to bear witness of the light, to bear record of the gospel through the Son unto all, that through him men might believe.
So I'm inclined to go A, B, C, B, A.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Let's see. The same.
Came into the world for a witness, that through him men might believe. Okay. Bear witness of the light unto all. Bear record of the gospel through the Son. Yep. Actually, that's perfect.
Because a witness unto all, right? Witness.
Yep. Unto all.
That through him. The same. John. Yeah, so they're saying that John.
Yep. Men might believe.
Meaning that's what everybody should do. Bring people to believe in Yeshua, right? John was just the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Now,
So,
now I think we can come down to this other E.
yeah.
The same word was made flesh, dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So. This might.
I see
No,
a possible A, B,
that's
C, B, A,
A,
but
B, C.
it's kind of, I'm not like solid on it though.
No, I'm not solid on that. Well, this is descriptive of that.
Well,
We could have some contrast.
well,
Flesh,
let's see, if
same word was
so
made
the, the same word was made flesh, such
full
that
of
we
grace
can
and truth.
have grace. Because if he never,
Yeah.
if he didn't come, we couldn't have grace if he
Right.
hadn't come. So I can
Yeah.
definitely see those two going together. Okay?
That's connection. That's a definite
Right.
connection.
And he dwelt among us.
The glory as of the only begotten of the Father. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, and
then,
what are we supposed to do? Behold his glory.
yep.
And he dwelt among us.
Yeah.
As the only begotten of the Father, right?
Yeah.
I think that fits.
I see all that coming together.
Yeah.
Very
Because
nicely.
we can't have grace unless he came down in the flesh. He dwelt among us.
So you see,
that
here's
we
the
could see the only begotten of the Father, and because of that, we could behold his glory. But anyways, what were you saying?
and that's really interesting because here we have the chiasm of the messenger, and here we have the chiasm of the Elias, and the chiasm of the Son.
Yeah. And they're both A, B, C, B, A.
Yep.
And so I think that gives some more support for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's go to F.
He was not that light, but came to bear witness of that light.
Yeah, that one's simple.
That one's very.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But as Okay, and he was not born, he was born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God.
So here's what I see in ABC.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I see it building.
Yeah, because that's a different idea. The will of the flesh or man, then but of God is a different, is the seed.
In fact, I would go one step.
Further.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I could maybe go ABBA.
Mhm.
You think that's an A? You think that's tied back to the,
Or maybe B. He was
yeah,
born of Elohim,
yes,
because not of the flesh, right? The flesh.
nor
is
of the
sin.
will of the flesh. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I think that's what it is, because he was born of God, not blood, for the will of man, which ultimately is the will of flesh. Right?
Yep.
Because blood is sin.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So go to G.
Which is which was the true light, which lighteth every man who cometh into the world. That's pretty. That seems
That
pretty
one.
straightforward.
Oops. Yeah, that one was simple.
But as many as received him, to them he gave power to become the sons of God. Only to them who believed on his name, who believe on his name. And that's a 3-part right there. And this actually fits in the same way that their F and F up here is a 2-part, F down here is a 3-part.
So I think this is a ABA.
I see that as many as have received him, only to them who believe on his name. Yes, because those two, it's 2 ways of saying the same thing.
Yeah, and it's building to. This is the epic right here.
Yep. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That works.
I'm not gonna do slash. I'm gonna do and.
Yeah. Because it really is both.
Yeah. The idiom's both on name.
Yeah.
And a lot of it go one of both context, and sometimes even seeing more now. When I thought it was only authority, I'm actually seeing authority and character in places
Yeah.
now, where I used to only see.
Yeah.
one.
Well,
So
then that's
I'm
because
growing it.
authority and character, well, you come under his authority and you assume his character.
Yeah, and when we receive him, we want to become like him, right?
Yeah.
That's the character. And if we don't believe in the character, we wouldn't receive him. If we didn't believe in his authority, we wouldn't receive him, right?
Right. We throw everything out.
Yeah, well, I see that happening a lot.
Baby out with both one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that G's done.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Even the Son of God. He was in the world, and the world
Was made by him, and the world knew him not.
Yeah.
Well, I see this is where some of these middle ones,
Get a little confusing.
well, let's see.
Okay, knew him not, received him not. Hmm.
So I see an A, B, B, A, B is my first inclination.
Well, that's what I see. It's because you've got who is in the world was made by him. These are two, and the world knew him not. Yeah, Son of God. Yeah, kind of a contrasting
Yeah,
relationship.
let's see. He was in the world, but the world didn't see him,
Yeah,
and they didn't know the Son of God.
right.
So,
Yeah, so let's go with ABBA there. Yeah.
and this one, I would call an AB.
Seems that way. Because there's no other way to divide any of this. That makes any sense. At all.
Yeah, that one's pretty simple
Yeah.
and clear cut, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Well, that was awesome fun.
yeah, I think we learned from it too.
Yeah.
So
I hope everybody else had at least learned something if they didn't have as much fun as we did.
Well, if the whole point of the chiasm is to go is the center, what would you say is the center?
It's the H.
The H, right? So he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Came unto his own, and his own received him not.
Which makes it a restatement of what happened on Mount Sinai.
and this actually goes back to Daniel 9 right here, and his own Israel and his own received him not. Right? Just what Daniel 9 states. I'm just thinking about it because we've talked a little bit about it earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this, I think also, I'm going to do this. Because HA is the world, HB is Israel.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the world and Israel are not the same.
No.
But this is kind of doing the same thing for both, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the world didn't even know him, and Israel didn't receive him. So they might as well have known him.
If he went to the world, a lot of the world would have repented and went to him, but he was supposed to go to his own, right?
Yeah.
Well, he made a covenant with him.
He had to go to his own for what needed to happen. But Daniel 9.
Yep.
No, yeah.
All
Daniel 9.
the words of God must be fulfilled.
Well, and also, I think it's just more than that. Daniel 9 is key on a lot of things. And I see that Daniel 9 in this. But anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to publish that.
And this is the strongest statement that we have in the New Testament that that Torah was with Christ from the beginning.
Yeah. I think that was pretty good. In fact, I was a little nervous doing this recorded, but I think we did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Here it is. Being put on the spot, which I pretty much do all these scripture studies, right, is much harder than pre-planning a lesson and a lecture beforehand that you just read your script and do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is one thing that and Ben and Kelsey's chit chat is actually very important to bring out. And that is,
were they chatting?
before, when you went on a break to get the water.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, this is what was discussed. How do we do it? How can we do this? Making chiasms. First, you must familiarize yourself with the material. All material.
We didn't make this. We brought it out. I'm being technicality, but we didn't make this. We brought it out.
It was already there.
Yeah.
But it starts with familiarity in the word.
That's all I'm trying to say. If you want to do this, if you want to be able to see this, if you want to have the eyes to see it, first apply to the Lord and the Spirit. Secondly, go to the scriptures and familiarize yourselves with them. Thirdly, read, and then go through and read them and search.
It's searching for specific things, searching for specific things.
And then after searching, then you do deep.
You can get into the deep search, and
you do deep search, and that's what the chiasms are, is the deep search.
Yeah, and if you don't see it the first time, try again later, because the ones about tzitz, I couldn't see them for a long time, even when I tried. It was not until I did the Eternal Round post that I could see it. That's when I saw it, and I tried before. I couldn't do it before.
Yeah, you don't always. I had a sense that this whole structure here was chiastic. It was basically chiastic just because of the repetition, and I really just wanted to break it down and see. And when you look at it in chiasm, it's glorious.
Yeah, all the connections.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I love this stuff. Thank you for suggesting this one. Right. and I there's a lot of people attacking the JST. I'm not going to put too many notes in this, but I know one thing I'm going to add when I post this. In fact, I'll work on this. Will be the one I'll focus on until I do this one, and then I'll go back to the Jake Hilton one, and then I'll go back to the King David Brigham Young one. Right. I got to have my stack there, right? Anyways.
Yep. Got to keep the stack up.
But I'm going to put in here.
Otherwise, it's not like working with people.
This supports JST, because this is not possible without the JST, as we saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the JST, I do believe some of it was inspired, but where on parts where he went like, there's little ones like the and the and stuff like that. I think he just did it to make it easier. Mm-hmm. So I think some of the small ones, I think Joseph Smith said, this just makes it easier to read. Where these major ones, where this does have some major ones, I do believe those were inspired completely from Yahweh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think some of the little ones, I could go either way. Like here, I'm gonna go back to this screen.
Because the truth of the matter is, even if one is called as a servant of God, they'll still do some things. They'll still do some things for ease of use.
Oh yeah, I mean, I spend time putting in the glyphs Elohim on God because I think it's better, and because God is a pagan concept. And what gets, but anyways, but back to the thing, look here. He just, and this one, he just updated the spelling.
Yeah.
I don't think he got that one from inspiration. He was just fixing spelling.
Well, that's not right. Well, that's not spelled right.
Or like this one, that to which. I can go either way.
Yeah,
I can see how
either way. I think I
might be a little better, but
might be a little more grammatically correct, actually.
Yeah, which could be, I could see how it could be a little better, but something like that, I'm not that worried about.
It doesn't really change, but this, we have a big
This.
block of text.
Or especially, this is my favorite one. That I might comment a little bit on this one in the post.
Yeah, because that actually ties back into your post about into your resource page about the law of Moses being the law of carnal commandments.
Yeah, I don't
Or is
have a
that resource
on
page or is that a post?
So there's a recording. There's 2 recordings
Okay.
on that, right? I
Yeah.
have a post coming up on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
you
this
gotta
can
keep-
tie into that. This can
Ben,
tie into that upcoming post.
Yeah. Ben, you got to keep clear what I have posted and what I have shared that I want to post. Okay. You got to keep that straight in your head.
Stephen, that's impossible.
Probably is because I have a lot, right? It's just those shiny objects, and sometimes in the past I do these other posts to support the post I'm
It's
working on, and I've done that
so-
so many levels.
It's so fun chasing squirrels.
I have a diagnosis for you, Stephen. It's called the OCO shiny. Obsessive compulsive. Oh, shiny.
Yeah, I do have that some, but I do it to because it was going to support the other one, so I wanted to do that one
absolutely.
first to make it so it's a little more clear for this one. But then they didn't get done. But they've been useful because I share them here, right, and we go through it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I
there we
do.
go.
I do think I am going to talk a little bit, at least 18, some, right? If not more, but and make a point that this helps support the validity of the JST. Because let's just go look 16, because 16 and 18 are big ones, right? Let's see what it would be missing. So 16. All of that is 16, right? So that is all of BA.
Yeah.
That's all of BA.
Yep.
Second BA, which then would missing that up here. So that completely destroys the B's of their ABCs.
They basically what the basically what they did is went out and ripped the guts out of it.
Yeah, well, it would get rid of the A and the second B, right? Let's 18 is another big one. Let's go see. And that gets rid of the C up here. So those are 2 significant. That got rid of the A, B, C.
Oh yeah.
So some of these others, like this crossing out, might not that make a big of a difference. But some of these, like that one could be. Let's go look at 7.
Did we include 19 in that chiasm?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, I figured.
7. There's a significantly added in 7. Let's go look at that.
I mean, and that basically as good as declares the mystery of the relationship between the Father and the Son. That's the thing about 19 that I see so clearly now.
At any time, except he had on record of the Son for acceptance.
Yeah, I can see that. And no man has seen Elohim at any time except he had borne record of the Son, because
At the
the
same.
Father is the Son. For it is through him that no man can be saved. Now, look at this. I mean, this is singular instead of except for them, except through him. Of course, a lot of people might not take that as modalism, right? But I can see it as modalism because it's stating the Father is the Son, right?
Yep.
Because they are the same. You see one, you see the other, because they are the same. So maybe
Yeah,
maybe I
when you
can bring that
stop
one
when
up.
you stop trying to do mental gymnastics, a lot of this stuff just makes so much sense.
Yeah, but mental gymnastics looks so much fun. That's why it's in the Olympics and people watch
And
it.
make you
It's fun to watch.
My favorite is when they start doing their mental gymnastics in Sunday school and they can't finish their thought because it's just so complex.
That sounds like a stupor of thought.
Mhm.
No, it's called. I generally tend to refer them as a stupid of thought.
Well, you know, these mental gymnastics can make you look smarter instead of just keeping it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, the
It-
KISS
it-
principle, really? You're
well-
going to call on the KISS principle
Well,
here?
look how I'm going to tie it in. If you really trusted Yahweh, which a kiss is symbolic of trust, you would keep it simple.
Bam.
Anyway, sorry.
Ah,
All my twisted connections in my head.
yeah. You got no joke.
Speaking of which, did you guys finish watching Hunchback of Notre Dame?
No, still haven't done.
Okay. Well, if you,
I've been too
I
busy.
connected the palm reading to our works of the hand, right? Because works.
fun,
And the palm
fun.
reading, because how do you know what a person is and what they're going to become? By their works. And that's what palm reading is, looking at your hand to see who you are. Except they're doing it wrongly versus the right way of the works, right? So the imagery's there, but they've twisted it.
Yep.
Anyways, I love imagery, if you can't tell.
Oh yeah.
I actually have, so I'm going to do one little thing.
Well, the correct imagery, you can make a boring film brilliantly exciting. Or you can make what would look to be a boring film into something brilliantly exciting.
So other restoration traditions will share this with people to help, so that way to help them do it and live up to it. So I'm just going to do, oh, where'd it go? I encourage you to learn a language. You have the capability to do this. Yahweh will assist you, and you will able to speak in a tongue that will be familiar to those who you will teach, and they will learn much quickly. Now, I think that should be more quickly, but anyways, that's actually what it says, much more quickly. So I believe the language I'm supposed to be learning is the symbolic language, because he's been giving it to me. I did horrible of learning German in high school. I don't remember much. I did a little Spanish in elementary, and I'm in a Spanish-speaking country right now, and I still have a hard time. But I believe the language I am supposed to learn and help people learn more quickly is a symbolic language.
That makes sense.
I do believe in most of my paracle blessing. I do think there's some LDS-isms in there that are not inspired, but there are things in it like that that makes me believe it's inspired. At least portions of it are inspired.
Practically all of my patriarchal blessing is LDS.
Sorry to hear that.
I
I
actually
think I don't have too much LDS-isms in mine.
Whoa.
I do have some. And
Yeah.
that's just one. I think the language.
And as I've done the research into my own background, I found that the blessing wasn't even true, even about my lineage.
Oh.
I'm Ephraim, and I'm obviously Judah.
Oh yeah, just from your own genealogy. I do believe I'm of Ephraim, like mine states. So, anyways, I have. Is it Danish? I think, and German in me.
Well, if you've got Danish in you, the odds are on. If you're going through the rationalization of British Israelism. The odds are on that you do have some Ephraim in you.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And there's other reasons I think I'm of Ephraim, but
Because the descendants of Ephraim, according to British Israelism, became the Germanic tribes which settled England and the Danelaw and what have you.
in fact, British, as the word, I'm forgetting how now, it's been a while, but it has to do with the word covenant, if I remember correctly. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, but I tend to think that I tend to believe the Lord when he says what the curse will be. And there's no set of people who has fulfilled that curse more completely than the descendants, or than the people who were sold into slavery from Africa.
Huh. I haven't thought about that issue, but I can see that.
I tend to believe the Lord. I tend to believe the Lord when he speaks.
That makes some sense. Because that is a curse. Right.
The curse to be captive, to all nations, be taken to strange lands, made to worship strange gods.
Yeah. Huh. That's a good connection.
A hiss and a byword.
Yeah, that's actually
Among there's still a hiss and a byword, especially among conservatives today.
Which that doesn't make sense to me, because usually conservatives are different on that. But anyways.
Yeah. No, they've basically literally flip-flopped.
Well,
They're basically flip-flopped. Because South Carolina, before I got a breakdown of South Carolina history from a buddy of mine who's from South Carolina.
Oh, that's interesting. You have to, because isn't it the revelation about what some people think was the Civil War, which is not? I forget what.
87.
Yeah.
Isn't that in South Carolina where it starts? If I remember
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. But he basically said before the Civil War, South Carolina was full of white Democrats. And so they fought they fought for that. And then they lost. And so they had to conserve, like the explanation makes almost practically zero sense when you actually look at the whole of it. But it's like, but then something changed. And so we fought for the right to conserve those rights that we felt were being threatened. It's basically discussing rights, our stately rights, or our constitutional rights.
Well, the facts of the matter are the Democrats used to be conservative.
Yeah.
And the Republicans were the liberal antithesis to the Democratic.
They've flip-flopped on what they.
And they've flip-flopped. It's real, and that's why the South became conservative, as opposed became Republican, as opposed to being Democrat when Democrats were conservative.
Sure, because the left and the right changed on which ones that they are Democrat and Republic. Today it was opposite. Which because some people talk about how when Joseph Smith around they were Democrats, but that's during the time where they were the conservatives at that time, the Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's this. If you don't know that, that makes history. If you
don't
then, but don't take the context of it then, but you take it in today's context, you get things wrong. Just like
which is one of the reasons.
Read the Hebrew scriptures with the Greek mindset, you'll get it wrong.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That's also one of my reasons why I really I get very upset when people equate biblical values, Yahweh's values, with conservative values.
Oh, I don't get upset with it, but I agree that they don't necessarily match up. I'm not a fully mainstream conservative. I'm more conservative than liberal, but I'm somewhere in the middle. And it would depend on the
You're what's referred to as a moderate. You're like me. You're a moderate.
Okay, sure. I would say I'm a tourist in that
Yes.
respect. Let's see what the law.
You're a
actually says about
tourist?
it. Yeah, I'm a tourist.
You're a
yeah.
tourist?
Oh.
Yeah, I believe-
Actually, I
believe-
am touring this world. but
I
I'm not-
know.
this is not. That's not where I was going, but that was pretty good there, Matt. But I am just touring this world, but I was tourist. Is more what I was saying.
So
but
what
now you made
sight
me lose
have
my
you seen
thought.
in Argentina?
Okay.
Just-
Are you done, sir?
No.
But anyway, if we would keep Torah, God's way of doing things, it would solve a lot of problems.
It really will.
Well, and the thing is that neither conservatives nor liberals are truly interested in Torah.
In fact, most of them on both are going to actually go against it.
Yep.
Just because most of those who control the Democratic Party and those who control the Republican Party are both controlled by the same people. They're wings of the same bird of the occult.
Yeah, that's right.
I just
And that bird is a
the Republicans Republicans are generally the more in the right, but they're not completely right, as we've stated here.
Yeah.
But anyways, but
well,
I also
state that, but here's the thing: they state they're in the right, but they don't do what they state.
oh yeah,
So they're not in the right.
yeah, their own words are condemning them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same with their works. It's their lips speak one thing and their hearts are far from it. I mean,
Yeah, indeed. But let us-
everything. Let me just say this: everything is spiritual. There is nothing that is only temporal.
Yes.
Everything is spiritual. There is nothing that is only temporal.
Yeah.
If you want to understand the world,
If you want to understand what's going on in the world, you have to understand the mystery religion.
well, I would disagree a little bit. I think that's helpful, but I think the more you know truth,
Yeah.
that is really what you should focus on.
Yeah.
I do believe though we should work at exposing wickedness, and some of that.
Well, and you cannot
takes knowing it.
expose the wickedness. You cannot expose wickedness if you don't know where it is. And if you
Correct,
don't
and
know-
you won't know it's wicked unless you know what the actual truth is. So
Then
I
that
do
is
think there's
true.
a place of understanding the occult to some degree, but
It is better.
there has to be
better to know
a
truth.
primary focus on knowing truth.
It is better to know truth. If you do not know if you have the choice to learn about between learning about the occult and learning truth, choose to learn truth.
Yeah, because if you go look at the occult trying to expose it and you don't know truths, how are you going to expose it?
Right.
You have nothing to compare it to. And the occult has the black and the white, the good and the bad mixed together. So you're not, you don't have the truth, the law, the Torah to discern. You won't know what is right and wrong.
And before long, you will be
Expose it.
converted and become one of them.
Yeah, because you will have no guiding principle to help you know what is right. So I focus on righteousness and then expose the wickedness, just like in the first part of Matthew 7, right?
Just like in the Doctrine and Covenants.
Yeah.
With the first,
then call
the best,
repentance.
yep. Similarly, seek not to declare my word, but first seek to obtain my word. Obtain the word, act on it, then learn it, teach it, learn it, then teach it.
GNC 11.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the same thing being said different ways in different places, right? But anyways, it's probably time to go. And
Yeah, I'd say so.
It's 11:30.
Unless anybody has
11:30 where we are.
some closing things they want to say, I think we're probably.
Zach, do you have anything wise to get into graces with? It's okay if you don't.
Well, I think I have had like the prompting to, like I was viewing my secret combos playlist too much. And so I think I had the prompting to like, and it said something to like, should focus more on Torah than that.
Well, I think this is a confirmation for you on that. There's a place for it, and it's easier to go learn about what everybody else is doing wrong, but that won't save you.
Mm-hmm.
Learning about right ways and incorporating right ways.
Yeah. Well, I think with that, let's close.
Yes.
It's about my time anyways, and it definitely looks like about Kesley's time.
I've been tired tonight. I have.
I'd rather be that than I'm boring you to death.
No, I was tired before I got on, so.
Sure. Well, you're a busy mom. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I am glad that you're putting forth the effort to be here, however it may be, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it shows that you're trying, and that's the important part. So, I appreciate
Maybe
you
next
coming.
time we can read Ruth like we were thinking.
Yeah, let's go into Ruth next time, maybe.
Okay. So next time
Unless
Sunday.
Darren has a whole lot of questions for us.
Sure. Because I think
Assuming
if there's
that-
questions, we should focus on that, and then if there's not, we can share things like these insights that we
Go
got.
to Ruth.
So,
Yeah.
But actually, I still think that sharing Ruth might help Darren with some of his, because I'm sorry, there's a lot of good things, good lessons, and solid evidences that can be given through Ruth about living the law.
I agree with you.
Huh?
I agree with you, but I would add to that, all the scriptures do that.
Well, I'm just.
It's just most people don't know how to bring it out because they don't know the law. Because maybe let's, because what is the purposes of this life? In fact, here, maybe this might be a good thing. Let me share my screen. Hi, Christy. Here's the purpose of life. Do you not suppose that such things are abominable unto him who created all flesh? And the one being is as precious in his sight as the other. All flesh is of the dust of Satan, and the self-same end, purpose, goal hath he created them, that they should keep his commandments. Why did he create us? Let me read that again. For the self-same purpose hath he, God, Yahweh, created them, that they should keep his commandments and glorify him forever. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Revere Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty, purpose of man. Hath he commanded any that he should not partake of his salvation? Behold, I say unto you, nay, but he hath given it free unto all men, and he hath commanded his people that they should persuade all men to repent, and that is, to persuade them to keep his commandments.
That's in other words. And in other words, for keep his commandments. Because our natural bent is to not do. Because we are of dust.
Because we are of the dust, as in Satan's domain. Satan shall eat of the dust. And that's where he finds us and eats us and consumes us. is in the dust.
And so when he says to preach repentance, he's telling us to preach his Torah,
Right.
to teach his ways.
Because to preach repentance is to preach people to come back to the law.
And if you're
Which is
preaching
cool.
it, and if you're preaching it, you better be walking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you should be walking it if you're not preaching it too, but
Yeah.
but
But
yes,
especially
you
if
need to
you-
practice what you preach. Otherwise, you're a
Yeah.
hypocrite.
Yeah.
And
I
then you
will
should
look
be
at
a
some
teacher,
things.
right? Because the Book of Mormon says you should only call teachers who are actually walking the walk. I mean, that's not how they say it, but that's what it's saying.
Yeah, it's called paraphrase. Paraphrase.
Yeah.
It's one I do it all the time.
Yeah. Anyways, that's probably a good thing to end on. 'Cause it's about my time, and I think it's about all of our times.
Yep. I can tell you that after working out that chiasm, it really helped. It really did help to have somebody else there. It made it go a lot faster.
Well, I've done a few, so
Yeah.
it does it can take some thought, right?
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
to understand the doctrine and the gospel to be able to really do it in depth. Because I mean, we did a quick one, an overall one, and then we filled it out more, right?
Yep. Exactly.
It takes some thinking, and it's not a no good exercise. It is a good exercise to get you to better understand. It really is.
Mhm.
It is.
Well,
I think we saw here.
Kelsey, do you understand those verses better now for us having gone through that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that,
And on those lines, I will say I understand scriptures better because of this exercise.
yeah.
Some of it, part of it is that you can see the different imageries that point to the same thing. In building up or bringing out a chiasm like this helps you see it.
Yep.
Because when you try to work and figure something out, you understand it more than if someone just gave it to you. It really does help. Because I think a part of it helps you see the imagery and the different way of saying the same thing. Instead of it being different concepts, teaching something different, like a lot of people take it as, you start seeing it differently. You start seeing it as a Hebrew would see it.
Mhm.
Because you're doing a Hebrew act. This is Hebrew poetry.
Yeah.
Hellenist poetry likes the rhymes because it sounds cool. It's catchy. Hebrew poetry has substance. Hellenistic world is based off of Satan's ideas. It's catchy, it's cute, it's clever, it's quick, not much
looks
thought.
good.
Versus Yahweh gave us a mind and he wants us to use it and connect it and think and really have a deep understanding.
Yeah. So, but like I said, after working that out, I was about ready. I was about ready to be like, okay,
So,
I'm ready to go.
like a
ready to
statement
go
from
home.
Joseph Smith, you haven't done this enough yet.
Yeah.
As in when he received revelations, right? Anyways,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of
Oh.
chiasms.
Yeah.
Good news, our brother Josh, who just left the military, finally got his first civilian style job. So he starts in about a week. So,
Okay, that's good to hear.
yeah.
Oh, here, let me pause recording real quick.
Sorry.